I'm really good. Just chilling in Sedona right now. So having a good time out here.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
We
Um,
have an event tonight with Michael Tellinger, and we're on a 17 US city tour. So it's
oh,
crazy. It's intense.
nice.
hmm
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. How long are you in Sedona for?
Just 2 days. I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Oh, cool, cool.
Going back to LA tomorrow.
Yeah. And how did you go with the James Redfield tour?
How did it go?
Yeah.
It went good. We had the first event we had 85 people. Second event we had 75.
Mm.
So it's a good turnout.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like working with him. He's a really awesome dude, and it's just like when no matter what, every single month we're gonna get at least 75 people. So we might as well just keep going on and take it worldwide. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
hmm
cool. Awesome stuff. Um, should we kick it? Shall we go live?
Yeah, let's do it.
You ready? Okay, cool. Give me a few seconds.
Okay.
I will do a few admin things here.
So you're still coming to California, right?
Yeah.
Nah, when are you coming?
I think I'm aiming for September. So I
Yep.
have a few projects. I'm literally working 120-hour weeks. Like I'm
Damn.
doing 18-hour days at the moment. It's
What?
so hectic. I don't even know what day it is, what month it is. I don't even know my name half the time.
What are you working on?
I'm actually working with trauma affected kids as one project.
hmm
We have kids that are in the system that are either have been taken away from their parents for whatever circumstances, or they've been taken away from foster homes. So they're literally kids that are governed by the system. And a lot of them obviously come from really heavy trauma. So whether it be, psychological, physical, sexual abuse, whatever the case is. And we've got kids that are as little as 7, but as old as maybe 18, and
hmm
we have like 24/7 therapists that work around the clock that pretty much
hmm
just give them coaching and guidance to try and reform or kind of bring them back and try and work with some of these behaviors, because a lot of them display quite aggressive behaviors based on the trauma that they've been through.
hmm
So really working with them, and it's really full on. It's very rewarding, but it's very full on. So you could
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
if a child, escalates or something, or we have a few kids that are self-harming. So
Mm.
there's a lot that goes on, and a lot of them, either abscond, which is run away. We have to constantly work really closely with the police and
hmm
like, missing persons reports in and media releases to go looking for these kids if they end up,
Wow.
running away and stuff. So it's really intense. So that's one project that takes up like, I think 40 hours a week of my time, and then doing readings on top of that and all of this other
hmm
stuff and PR and marketing and media. I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, 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 I feel you.
Yeah, so it's full on, but it's really good. So I'm going to wrap up with the kids, I think, around September, because you can only
Okay.
do 100, you can only do 18-hour days, six and
Right.
a half days a week for so long before I think you lose your mind.
Exactly.
Mm.
And I mean, it's good. It'll be like, are you gonna work out here when you're here, or are you just coming for vacation?
I am going to work out there. Like, I'm not sponsored per se. Well, I'm
Yeah,
sort
you
of
like Healing
employed.
Networks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm going to work out there, and I suppose the aim is I want to try and stay for as long as I can. I've
yeah.
realized, yeah,
I can link you up with people if you want to do live interviews too.
oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah,
hmm
for sure. Yeah, definitely. Hook me up.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I'll be just bouncing around San Diego, LA, mainly the California area. And then, like, I'll just do a visa run every 3 months and kind of come back
hmm
and chill and cruise around. So, but yeah, definitely, if you know people, um, definitely hook us up.
Yep.
Mm. Okay, let's have a look. Just make sure I got this. Hang on.
We're going live on the fan page, right? Healing Networks.
Yeah. we are live.
Excellent.
Excellent. So I'll just share this to our group.
Me too.
Awesome.
Just text her to listen.
All good?
Okay, I'm ready whenever you are.
Woohoo. Awesome. Neil, my good friend, good to see you again on Healing Networks. Talk to us about what's happening this time around.
Yes.
Where
Nice
you
to see you
at?
as well. And hello, everybody who is here with us and is going to be watching this. If you don't know me, my name is Neil. I'm the founder of an organization called Portal to Ascension. And what's happening right now is I am in Sedona, Arizona. And actually, 2 days ago, I left LA at 9 p.m. and I drove 11 hours to Albuquerque, got there at 6 a.m. To pick up Michael Tellinger so that we can kickstart the West Coast tour of the Hidden Origins tour. And this is the third event in the 17 cities we're going to visit over the next month and a half. We've been in Denver and Loveland, Colorado. And Hidden Origins, are you familiar with Michael Tellinger at all?
Only through some of what you've shared, but for
Okay.
those who don't know, please go into detail.
Yeah. So Michael Tellinger even though he's not an archaeologist, he technically is the only person researching the archaeological sites in South Africa. So he's become a makeshift archaeologist in regards to the fact that he's found a lot of evidence of advanced ancient civilizations that utilize technology to create some epic structures, such as huge stone circles. There's thousands of stone circles that date back over 100,000 years, 200,000 years in South Africa that no one is doing research on. Michael's been doing that for a good 5 to 10 years on those stone circles. And just recently, he started finding all of these stones, these rocks within the stone structures that he could pull out. And then after some research, these things that are in the walls of the stone structures are fossilized organs. Wow. Fossilized organs of giants. A heart the size of my whole body. A fossilized heart. A bone, like an ankle the size of my entire leg. Beings anywhere from 15 feet tall all the way to like 200 feet tall, like if they were going to be put it to scale. So that's something he's found recently. Even though he's been doing a lot of research on ancient civilizations for a long time, he's connected the Sumerians and the Mesopotamian cultures and the Anunnaki gods to the South African mining operation that happened 100,000 plus years ago, where it looks like these beings were mining for gold in South Africa. And underneath these stone circles, if you can look through, if you could do an x-ray of the ground underneath them, they are mining. There are whole mining operations underneath these circles. So it looks like that these circles were utilized for something in order to give energy to the mining operations that are underground over 100,000 years ago. So he's going to go into huge detail about not only these structures, the ancient civilizations, and how it connects to a worldwide ancient culture, but also the vibration and frequency. These stone structures emanate frequencies in the gigahertz, thousands of gigahertz, a frequency that is unheard of on Earth, and that humans cannot even generate themselves. This structure is creating. you go into these stone structures, your cell phones stop working, just like a crop circle, right? And so that plus towers that he's been finding all over the world, and cone-shaped tools that seem to be channeling certain frequencies that he's also discovered. It's a full-on encompassing presentation where he brings that information forward, but then he ties it into Ubuntu contributionism, which is a philosophy from ancient African philosophy, money-free society, where people would just dedicate a few hours a week to certain projects, and the rest of the time they could do things leisurely, they could be a part of other projects, and the whole entire community had food, shelter, everything they needed, and lived in complete abundance. So his thing is teaching people ancient history, funneling them into creating a new society based on ancient views, that we don't need to live in money and have this capitalistic corporate capitalistic structure that is really not empowering humans. So that's what we're here for in Sedona. The tour is called the Hidden Origins Tour because it's about all these origin stories that have been hidden for so long. And we're going to be going from here to LA to San Rafael, Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, Syracuse, New York, Atlanta, Asheville, Miami, Dallas, Austin, and then we're going to end in Kansas City. So it's literally like all the way around the entire US. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, that's incredible. And did you say that kicks off tonight there?
Yeah, he's done 2 events already on the tour last week, but tonight at 7 p.m. at the Creative Life Center, we're going to be live with Michael over here.
Yeah, wow, that's wonderful. Yeah. And how long
So,
does that tour go for, Neil?
It's altogether, it's around 2 months.
Yeah. And if people want to be able to attend, how can they find you or register or on the seat? So
the tour, you can go to michaeltellingertour.com, which will redirect you to the page on our website, portaltoascension.org, or just go to portaltoascension.org and, under the tours area, under the live events, there's Michael Tellinger Tour. You'll find it right there. And I'll just tell everybody now, please go to our website, portaltoascension.org. But what you should do really is all you have to really do is Google Portal to Ascension. And the best way you can support us is by just adding everything you find. Like you'll find Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, where we release like hundreds of hours of presentations every few months on all of these topics, plus our website where you can sign up, and it's like Netflix for spirituality and conscious awareness, where you'll get a username and password and get access to hundreds of presentations. Since we've been doing this for like over 10 years now.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And with these findings, what's he actually doing with them? Like, are they being preserved to some degree, or what's actually happening there? Or is that a little bit, is that some information that he'll be releasing during his talks?
Well, what he is doing right now is he's actually creating the Stone Circle Museum in South Africa so that he can have a place to put all these and people can come and visit them. But he's also doing geological and scientific studies on these fossils, because what happens is when something becomes fossilized, it looks like that thing, but it doesn't have the properties anymore of an organ. So because it's 100% fossil, it becomes a rock. It's the rock in the shape of a heart because it used to be a heart. There's a couple of ways things can be fossilized. These ones look like they're probably, if the stone circles are over 100,000 years old and these are part of the stone circle wall, and the majority of the stone circle wall is created from fossils, then chances are these ones, especially because they're giants, probably 100,000 plus years old. However, fossils can be created overnight. A very high energy, like electricity volt to any object can actually petrify it and fossilize it almost immediately. So these ones in particular are very ancient, and he's attempting to figure out different studies, bringing geologists, bringing scientists, bringing people that specialize in DNA, and just take a look at this stuff and kind of validate it even more. Some people are really against the fact that he's finding this and think they're just rocks. However, a lot of the fossils that he's finding, you cannot deny. Literally like a fossilized piece of reptilian skin.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's finding creatures too, giant creatures that used to exist. A piece of imagine your leg and then the bones snapped in half, right? Right in that moment, I can kind of imagine what that will look like. Exactly that. We're finding like a bone, like literally half a bone, looks like a rock, and part of it's all broken in half from where it was snapped off. So he's preserving them over there. South African government really doesn't care about this. And he actually lives on the land, like near where all this is happening. So he gets an opportunity to really look into it. It doesn't seem that anybody's trying to hijack this and, and hide it right now. And it's just the phase of him finding stuff. And if you look up his videos, like if you look on our YouTube channel, Portal Ascension YouTube channel, there's like a 5-minute video of him. Basically, there's a line of all these fossilized parts, and he's going through all of them. So he just has it like kind of like an assembly line of this. And it's just adding to the story where it looks like an advanced group of beings lived on this planet. Maybe they had their home base in Mesopotamia. Maybe it was somewhere else. These beings, which is current-day Iraq, also known as Babylon, and that these beings went all over the world, went to specific areas, created mining operations there, had humans help them and work for them. And one of these places was South Africa. And if you look at the story of Enlil and Enki, you can actually see that these different gods and brothers actually had dominion over different parts of the world. Like there was a god that had dominion over in the Indus Valley, which included India, which is why the gods of the Indian texts are also Anunnaki gods, but they're not the same exact gods as the one that was in South Africa, the ones that were the Yahweh god, which was in, which is the Hebrew god. So one of these gods, God with a little g, as Michael calls it, because not the divine being God, but advanced extraterrestrial or interdimensional consciousnesses that weren't in per se actually a reflection of the divine, but were more advanced than us, so much so that we considered them to be our gods, created this mining operation there. And that they themselves were giants, or they worked with giants and they utilized the tools, they utilized fossilized remains of these giants and put it into these mining operation things. And now when you get one of these fossils and you hold it up and you go like this, ding, 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 it makes a perfect harmonic sound, like a frequency. So not only does this stone circle emanate a frequency that we can measure, but is unheard of on planet Earth, but these stones also have this harmonic frequency to it where that's very weird. Most rocks don't just become, a tool as an instrument. Plus, these rocks aren't even hollowed out. It's a pure fossilized rock, but they're still making those frequency tones. So, as you can see here, there's a lot of information that we're discovering. Where we go with that is yet to be discovered. Like, what is the frequency coming out of these things? Why did they put that frequency in it in the first place? What does that frequency do to the surrounding area? Was there a specific reason that they put that there, right? All of those are questions that we have that we may or may not discover. But we can continue researching.
Yeah, wow, that's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really interesting. I want to ask, and you may not know the answer, and that's okay. Why is the South African government not so interested?
Well, this kind of goes into a worldwide situation. Many governments aren't interested, and part of the reason for a lot of them has to do with religion, especially in Catholic countries where they're discovering. For example, we were in Peru, and Peru is one huge archaeological site, like so much so that you could go to someone's backyard, you could start digging, and there's a 1 out of 2 chance you might find something. Like literally, when we went to Peru, we actually went to people's backyards, and in order to discover fossilized remains of elongated skull beings that they found in their own yard, right? Why doesn't the Peru government do anything about it? One, there's so much in Peru that they can't make everything an archaeological site. And then 2, if they were to go ahead and say, yes, that this is real, it will bring up a whole other realm of questioning that will be contradicting to their current paradigm and control structure that has a lot to do with religion. Now, South Africa, I don't know if it's per se religion, as it is more to control and what they are focusing on. A lot of governments aren't just sitting there trying to discover more about their past. Many of these politicians, especially in countries like South Africa, are inherently corrupt, and they're just trying to figure out how to make more money. And in Peru, for example, the reason why most of the archaeological sites in Peru are national monuments for you to come and visit is not because the Peru government did it. It's because a foreigner came and said, hey, Peruvian government, you got something amazing here. You should preserve this and start charging for it. And then what happened? The Peru government money started flicking in their eyeballs, and then they started monetizing it. 100% of my money. So a lot of these governments actually create these archaeological sites not for preserving it because they genuinely care about preserving this information, but it's because like, oh, okay, we can just close this off, put a gate and put somebody in the front and charge for it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's that, and then to some people, it just goes over their head. Like you have this story, conversation about this stuff with them. We've been so indoctrinated to not believe that, and then we've been so indoctrinated to focus on our immediate needs that literally we need to do every single day in order to survive, that people don't have the time for this information. It's only if there's few people on the planet that do. There's becoming more and more people now, and the reason why there's becoming more people is because it actually is relevant, because we're going through similar situations that we have in the past where we're on borderline destroying ourselves, and the best way in order to heal ourselves is to show our unified collective history, right? So that we all feel one, and then also to explain what happened to these civilizations, because a lot of them wiped themselves out, and how we cannot do the same things again.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, got it. So, sorry, it's really, if it is being showcased, it's a matter of capitalizing on what's there and utilizing that for generating money pretty much, and probably enhancing tourism to a degree, but still it comes back down to just generating money. Awesome. What else have you got lined up for Portal to Ascension, Neil?
So last year we did a few tours. We did a live conference. This year we're doing more tours, this time with different people, and then we have our conference again, and then three tours that we have coming up is we have a tour with Hugh Newman and Jim Vieira, and those two individuals are similar ancient history researchers, but they're specifically into megalithic sites. So they go around the world, Göbekli Tepe, Egypt, you name it, and they do research on megalithic structures and the technology that went into creating them, and then also painting a different picture of our ancient past based on what they're discovering. For example, conventional Egyptology says that Egypt is around pre-dynastic Egypt, before the dynasties, is around 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. New information coming out from individuals like Brian Forrester, Robert Schoch, Hugh Newman, individuals that we work with, those guys are showing that Egypt, pre-dynastic Egypt, looked like it was around 13,000 BC. And 13,000 BC, we've been accepted by the mainstream that we were a primitive culture. There wasn't an advanced culture, but it looks like there were advanced civilizations existing while there were primitive civilizations existing at the exact same time. But we see the primitive and we like, oh, that's how we were. And we also have the arrogance of thinking that we're the most intelligent humans that have ever existed on this planet. But the fact is, we're not the most intelligent ones because we're destroying the planet. There are other civilizations that, had the same level or even more level of intelligence, and they were doing things that were harmonious to the planet. So Hugh Newman is a megalithic site guy. He's going to be talking about that. We have an event in Boulder in about 3 weeks from now, and then we have an event in Irvine around the same time, just a week apart, and that's also under the live events on portaltoascension.org. And then we have a tour that we're doing with Emery Smith. Emery Smith is a whistleblower for the secret space program. He dealt with not only reverse engineering, but he also dealt with dissecting extraterrestrials and for the government and trying to figure out, how they operate and exist. And he was doing a lot of like black ops stuff basically for the secret space program. And now he's come out around a year ago now, I think, where he's a whistleblower talking about his experiences there. But his main thing has become medical healing cures, because he was dealing with curing all types of illnesses and sicknesses for the secret government in order to basically give them the technology. And now he's coming out telling other people about the similar technology. And whatever you may feel about Emery Smith, whoever's listening, the legit thing that is true is that he can back up his story and he can back up these cures that he's doing. And you go to his website, he has a list of all these doctors that have assisted holistically in curing Parkinson's, cancer, all types of stuff. And let me put the disclaimer here for anybody that's going to be watching this that isn't in alignment with what we're saying here, that nothing that I say, when I say everything that I'm saying here is not designed to cure any sickness or prevent any sickness. This is my opinion, based on my research, it has nothing to do with making any claims, because you got to throw that in there, because otherwise they come and get you saying that you're making, claims on things. So he's done a lot of that stuff, and we're going to be doing an event also in the summer, one in Boulder with him. Boulder is like the haven for this information, and then Colorado Springs as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you want to make a comment on that before I go to the next thing?
Yeah, absolutely. For those that have never heard of the special space program.
Yeah, Secret Space.
Secret Space, thank you. Can you go into a little bit about what that is and what that involved, a little bit, for those that are just completely new to hearing that? That'd be really awesome.
Yeah, so the story is pretty extensive, but I'll give you like a kind of a timeline. 1947, Roswell Crash. Extraterrestrial beings discovered, craft reverse engineered. At the same time, the Nazis had interaction with a specific type of extraterrestrials that were giving them technology, which is why the Nazis created the Nazi Bell. Type in Google Nazis and UFOs, find a lot of information there, which is also why Hitler was looking for the perfect bloodline. That was the Aryan bloodline that isn't from this planet. And he would go to India. He had this thing against black people and gays, but no one else. He was in India with Chinese people, Tibetan people, and he was measuring them with respect in order to figure out the dimensions of their face and their body to see if it ties into the perfect bloodline. So he didn't think just white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people were that. He had this whole thing to do with the occult, and he even had this in. He used to have these seances. This is common knowledge. There's documentaries all over the place where they would channel extraterrestrial beings. And one of the individuals, I think her name was Maria, she actually channeled how to create a spacecraft, a UFO. And he used that information in order to create it. So he had this connection with ETs. The U.S. government had their own connection. They had their own reverse engineering going on. Everything went behind the scenes because the mainstream articles and all the information that came out was that it was a weather balloon. None of this stuff is real. And it became a hidden thing that was secret, that was funded through black money, basically, that kept thriving while we had a separate timeline. Secret Space Program timeline, NASA regular science timeline. All of the people in the world, regular space, NASA, space agency timeline, slow drips of technology that they've had for 100 plus years coming out, making us think that this is what's going on. Secret Space Program, behind the scenes, people that you don't even know who's in charge of it, generals and commanders that have full authority and power, compartmentalized power, people arguing with each other and not agreeing with each other, creating their own versions of the Secret Space Program, the Navy creating their own version of their Secret Space Program, the Air Force creating their own version of the Secret Space Program, none of them talking to each other, almost in competition with each other. Now you fast forward until modern day, like 60s, 70s, 80s even, you have the U.S. Navy exploring space, the outer parts of our solar system, and then you have the Navy doing separate things as well, where the Navy was actually more advanced than the Air Force, but the Air Force thought they were more advanced than the Navy because they had been told from the extraterrestrials that they were in communication with that they've got the cutting edge technology. But some of these extraterrestrials gave technology that was really nuts and bolts, not utilizing consciousness and advanced technology in order to basically give us stuff that was much more primitive than the information that they had. So while this is occurring, individuals are being taken in. There's programs such as MK Ultra, which is, you can go to CIA's own website and type in MK Ultra, and all the release documents are there, where they took people in, created super soldiers. They created psychic programs. They utilized information that they got from extraterrestrials and reverse engineered technology in order to create this huge Goliath of things happening behind the scenes that we weren't aware of. Come around 15 years ago, even before that, but 15 years ago probably happened a little more, all this information starts leaking out. Whistleblowers start coming out. People start speaking about it. Clifford Stone, a friend of ours who lives in Roswell right now, he was a UFO crash retrieval expert, a UFO crash retrieval expert team leader for the U.S. Air Force. What that means was he was sent all over the world in sightings where there was UFOs that got crashed, because there was a lot of them, and he would go inspect the sites and bring back the information, and then a couple times actually had interactions with extraterrestrials that was still alive at these sites, because there's many, many beings visiting us on all levels of technology. Some of them have nuts and bolts crafts. Some of them utilize their own light bodies to travel, right? So now all this information is coming out, and whistleblowers such as Emery Smith, and then other people like Stephen Greer has brought many whistleblowers out talking about this. And if you go to seriousdisclosure.com, you can read the witness testimony, and then other individuals too. So that is basically the secret space program in a nutshell. If you really want to learn more about that, actually, we just did a webinar with Michael Sala. You can go to our website. It's called U.S. Air Force Secret Space Program and Shifting ET Alliances. And U.S. Air Force, because it's about their secret space program, and Shifting ET Alliances is because the extraterrestrial alliances that used to exist are now changing, where some of them are going on to other sides, basically backing other individuals or groups of people. And that's what's been happening behind the scenes, and there's so much information out there to prove that this is happening, but it's once it leaks out into the masses and everybody knows about it, it is an aha moment, but it's more of a mind exploding moment, because the amount of information that has been hidden from us will only piss you off when you realize that, hey, my dad didn't have to die from cancer 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wait a second, we don't need to be traveling in cars, spending all this money on petrol. One of the main reasons extraterrestrial existence has not been disclosed is because of power structure. Not only power as in being powerful, but power as in energy. The first question arises when you say that extraterrestrial beings are visiting us is, where do these beings come from and how do they get here? When you start saying how did they get here, and you do the research on how they got here, and you realize we already have that technology, then you're going to know that we've just been we're just been horse and carriaging it for all this time, where we have technology that you can instant travel between realities, teleportation, levitation, and people like Otis Carr, who created the levitating car in the 60s, it might have been 60s or 80s, utilizing Nikola Tesla's technology. And this is completely on the internet. Like, he has his own Wikipedia page about it. All these individuals were shut up. He was taken out for securities fraud, right? And then he died soon later. So this has been coming out. People have been trying to come out with it. And all I can say is that the 1900s is the lost century. On our YouTube channel, there's a 2-hour, 3-hour presentation called The Lost Century. And it will tell you and explain to you the technology that we didn't get for 100 years, and how far we could have been and where we are now because of the cover-up. So what they're attempting to do is something called drip disclosure. They're attempting to tell us, oh, hey, there's a UFO program and we knew about it for a long time, but we haven't discovered anything yet. Oh, hey, we discovered one thing. It's this piece of metal, and now we're testing it out, and this is what we're going to create from it. But what they're not telling you is they do know extraterrestrials exist. They do know what that piece of metal that they found is, and the technology that they're going to release, they've already released, but they've already created, but they're telling us they're going to do it so that we don't get upset at them, saying, like, wait a second, you already created this and you didn't tell us, and you just used our money for it, right? So they're doing this thing now where you see on the New York Times, CNN 2 days ago, talking about the fact that Washington Post article 2 days ago, extraterrestrials exist and you just have to get used to it. That was the freaking article. The Washington Post.
Yeah.
However, Washington Post is owned by Amazon and is completely a part of the drip disclosure corporate elite, telling you things the way they want to tell you, but they're telling you the truth, but they're just doing it in a way where they're trying to make people not upset at them for doing, hiding it for so long.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting. Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of information there. That's really, really interesting. So you think it is slowly kind of being drip fed? Is that probably how it's coming about? Mainstream media as well?
Yeah, you'll hear drip disclosure is the term that's been thrown around now, and it means that there are slowly but surely attempting to disclose in their own way. They're also attempting to rebrand what UFO disclosure is. The word UFO is connected to a lot of energy and a lot of triggers for people. For some people, it's connected to woo-woo. For some people, it's connected to, oh, there could be anything. It could be just a plane. We're just calling it UFO. Everything is categorized under it. So what happened around 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, is there was a conscious effort to change the name UFO to UAP, spearheaded by the government, including Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, Tom DeLonge, for the ex-singer for Blink-182, where Hillary Clinton went on Jimmy Kimmel's show and on the talk show, and this is on the internet as well, where Jimmy says to something about Area 51 to Hillary Clinton, and Hillary goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going to if I become president." This is before Trump became president. This is part of her spiel to become president. If I become president, I'm going to reopen the UFO files for Area 51. Why the hell did she say that? Why would she say that 4 months before the election? She wasn't trying to sabotage herself. What they were trying to do is they were trying to round up all the conspiracy theorists to go into the Hillary Clinton camp because she was afraid she was going to lose to Bernie Sanders and Trump. So the best way to do that is to say that. But what she said was that, oh, Jimmy, they're not called UFOs anymore. They're called UAPs. And Jimmy goes, what's UAP? And she goes, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Later we find out that this was all scripted before, and she told him what to ask. But why would she set that whole stage up in order? Jimmy, what's a UFO? Oh, it's not called UFO. It's a UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. That whole thing was crafted, and she said it. And the reason for that is they're trying to move it towards this other thing that doesn't have the same triggers that the word UFO does. UFO has to do with abductions, has to do with the New Age movement. It's just so connected to things that they didn't want to be affiliated with. And they wanted to come out with their own thing, because UFO disclosure is completely us. That's a ground. That's a ground. What's the word? People on the ground movement. You know, we're the UFO disclosure people. So they call it UAPs now. They're doing something called drip disclosure. They're putting articles out every few months. Tom DeLonge went live from his Twitter where he was with ex-members of the CIA, NSA, NASA, people that literally left their job 2 days before the live stream. And in order to say that they've joined this private company called To the Stars Academy that is now going to look into the UFO question and see what these are so that we can see if we can create advanced craft from it. In that whole spiel, not once did they say, hey, who are these beings? Who's driving these craft? Why are they here? All they did was like, hey, we're seeing something weird in the sky. Please give us money. Please know about it. We're going to give you the end result. And the end result's going to be, look at this beautiful craft where we can travel from here to here using this technology. It was so freaking, like, if you just watch it, like, if you just watch the way that they conveyed themselves in that, and the fact, and look at what they did not say, then you realize that, okay, if you're talking about these crafts and all this stuff, there's a whole other component to it that you need to talk about rather than talking about technology and raising money to create this technology, right? So they're attempting to take the movement as their own. There is also a push to demonize extraterrestrials, and there's all types of interdimensionals and extraterrestrials, good, bad, and in between. And but their goal is to weaponize space and to create a collective threat from a collective unity in order to protect humanity from an outside threat that truly doesn't exist, but that they're telling us exists through all of this information that they're releasing, this drip disclosure, right? So it's good in one level that a lot of people who didn't know about this stuff are now being like, holy crap, like, this is real. And if you want to sit with your dad and he's been thought you were a UFO nut for so long, you could show him Tom DeLonge's live stream with all these people and Robert Bigelow on 60 Minutes talking about Robert Bigelow, head of the largest defense program, the defense company in the world that literally makes all the defense, most of the defense stuff for the U.S. government, on 60 Minutes, all about UFOs, right? What people used to call, like, people like us is crazy about, there's now enough evidence to be like, hey, I'm not crazy, take a look at this, you know, and figure it out. The only difference is that they're attempting to push it out to the public too. They want more people to know about it, but they only want them to know about it so they can funnel them into what they want them to do in response. Yeah. It's mind-blowing stuff, huh?
It is. It's very mind-blowing, but it's so informative too. And this is why I really love and support what you do, you know.
Thanks.
It just goes so much beyond events, you know, and it's just so educational and so wonderful. And so many more people need to be across it, or at least need to be aware. You know, the awareness starts with just one small stepping stone. And it's such a wonderful movement that you're in a position where you get to round up so many valuable keynote speakers that are specialists in, and passionate in their fields to be able to, provide that education. And hopefully we'll see it more internationally rather than nationally there in the States too. What else have you got on your plate or in the pipeline there as well?
Yep. So as you know, we're doing a tour as well with James Redfield, the author of the Celestine Prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
You had him on recently.
Yeah.
And so, yes, he is the author of the Celestine Prophecy, also the director of the movie. And he hasn't really done his own, actually, he has never done his own tour. Most of the time, he doesn't do his own solo events. He does it at conferences. So this is kind of a new thing for him, which is really cool because, his book came out quite a while ago. And he hasn't really gone on this Celestine Prophecy tour. So we're doing what we're planning to be at least 3 years, global tour, an event every single month, going all over the world. We've done one in Tustin, California, which is Orange County, 2 months ago. We just did one in San Rafael. We're going to be in San Diego next month. We're going to be in Portland the following month. Then we're going to be in Sedona. And then we're going to keep going on. Next year, we hope to be in UK. We may come to Australia because we've had a lot of people in Australia reach out to me and say, hey, you should come out over here. So it looks like there's a good following in Australia. And it's just going to be an ongoing thing. And the reason why he's doing the tour is that, in this world of division, in this world of chaos, things seem to be getting more and more crazy. A lot of individuals are now looking to go within when all this craziness is happening. People who are in the know, especially people who are conscious, realize that it's a reflection of themselves. And even though we can take informed action to change the outside reality, in order to create inner peace with this craziness in the world and be at peace with the world, we need to be at peace with ourselves. So the tour is called the Inspiration Tour, which is designed to inspire all the generations that exist on the planet right now so that we can create a new world based on what we want within us. And even we, as Portal to Ascension, we work on every level. We're doing UFO disclosure events all the time. We're doing ancient civilizations events all the time. But then we also do the events with people that are 100% only about doing the inner work, because it's really full circle. Unless you do the inner work and you look at what's going on within you, know how your mind works, know what your likes are, why you do certain things, and then shift into a place of harmony within yourself so that you can have self-love and you can love others truly, you're not able to take the right action, or for lack of a better term, the right action in order to change all this craziness in the world. When you come from a place of being triggered, right? Say for example, you don't like the head of a certain government, right? And you're so pissed at that person that all you're doing is telling people how angry you are, and you're trying to take him out and trying to do all this stuff. And the fact that you're triggered emotionally, by definition, you can never create a harmonic solution from it because you're coming from that trigger, and it's upsetting you so much that you may even take actions based on your trigger rather than based on logic and facts of how you should actually approach it. So I've realized that the best thing to do is to work on ourselves, calm the mind, not react to external situations. And when you get to that place, you're able to have more of an impact on changing the world for the positive. So Portal to Ascension is all about, the underlying thing really is about empowering us as individuals, shifting our consciousness and creating that inner peace so that we can go ahead and start doing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an amazing movement. It really is.
Thank you.
And I hope to see it grow so much more, as time goes on, which I'm sure it will, and I know it will.
Yeah, and I feel like for a while now I've been saying to people that, we're just hovering. This is all going viral. All this stuff is going viral, and as it goes viral, we go along with it. But pretty soon, what we're teaching and who we're working with is going to be the foundational reality for the whole planet, because there's not one person on the planet that doesn't really need to know this stuff. Yeah. You don't need to know, as in intellectually figure it out, but you do need to. The reason why I'm saying everyone needs to know it is because it has to do with them. It has to do with their history, has to do with their culture, has to do with their religion, has to do with how we're all connected to one and not divided. All these things are components that even a small kid in India that is just living every day farming his farm has something to do with, right? So there's not it's only got to do with people in the US at a certain educational level. It's got something to do with everyone. And which is why the whole world is my demographic. All these other companies, organizations, they have certain demographics. Women from 25 to 35. But for me, there's like every single person is part of the demographic. Therefore, I'm not worried if I'm going to go viral. I'm not worried if I'm going to like continue being able to do this professionally. I already know that once you wake up and once more people wake up, there's not going to be really that many people going back. A few people will go back to it because they're in fear and they need something to hide behind even, you know? So, but once you're ready to break free and fully liberate yourself, and you walk around like that on the planet, and then all you want to do is have everyone else also be liberated and walk like that on the planet. All it is a numbers game at this point. You know, we just got to keep doing it. And from what I've experienced, that the most people that wake up, they don't really ever go back to, you know, what it was before. And they teach that to the kids. So it's just a matter of time. We're building up momentum. And I'll add this to that. For my research, every time a zodiac changes in the sky, meaning every 2,000 years, there's a different zodiac. Right now, we're in Pisces. When did Pisces start? Started around the year 0. What has been the main religion on the planet since 0? Christianity. What is the symbol for Christianity? A fish. Oh, wait a second. A monotheistic religion that completely was against paganism is basing their symbology on astrological alignment, when most devout Christians think astrology is off the devil, right? What was that? What was before Pisces? If you look at what was before Pisces and you look at what the religion was on the planet, oh, wait a second. For the 2,000 years before that, people were using that as their symbol because it was the astrological alignment. What was the cat? Why did Moses come down Mount Sinai and kill his own people through earthquakes and destruction by breaking those tablets when they were worshiping a false idol? Because they were worshiping a calf. Why were they worshiping a calf? Because the bull was the zodiac sign at that moment, and it was the end of the zodiac sign, and the new zodiac was coming on earth. Moses went up there to talk to the ETs of God, whatever it was, and God was like, yo, the last thing is over, the new thing is here. Everybody can't be worshiping the calf anymore. You need to move to something else. So he came down. When they were worshiping the idols, it wasn't false idol worshiping. It was worshiping the old zodiac sign, for the old one that lasted for 2,000 years. Now it was the time for a new zodiac sign. So every 2,000 years, there has been a religion on the planet that was based on the new zodiac that completely changed and took over the planet. Every 2,000 years. Go back as far as you want. Take a look. What's happening now? 2,000 years is up. The age of Aquarius. What's going to happen with the age of Aquarius? Every sign represents a different aspect of how we're going to live on this planet. The age of Aquarius is the sign of no religion, the sign of non-dogmatic spiritualism, the age when you're not using dogma in order to convey the spiritual essence that is within you. So we're now going into the Aquarius sign. So this is science. This is like pure stars alignment. This is what happens on Earth when the radiation of the stars hit our planet. This is how it affects our experience. So the reason why we're just hovering right now is because the old paradigm is over. The old organized religions are over. The new religion of non-religion is just right here at the cusp. Just like how Jesus, for 300 years, there was just Gnostic texts. There were scriptures spread worldwide. There was no concise Bible until Constantine brought all the Gospels together for 325 years. That's what's happening right now with this movement that we're a part of. I don't think it's going to take that long because it's already becoming really big and there's a unified movement for truth. But that's why I'm hopeful. I already know it's a scientific thing. It's a matter of time. And we still are, and we have been pioneers in this information. And I'm just hanging out, not waiting for anything to happen in the future, but just knowing that we're just going bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon, we're going to continue being what we are, but on a bigger level for the masses, where we're going to be a one-stop shop for consciousness, so that when people wake up, and I used to say, like, walk around like chickens with their heads cut off, when people like, oh my God, like if I just told someone who wasn't ready to hear what you were about UFOs, they could be like spinning around like a chicken with a head cut off. Like, what the hell, right? And if I was to, so they need an outlet where they can go and learn all of that. Right? So we've created that outlet working with a wide range of speakers, every conscious topic that I could ever think about, anything that I've ever wanted to learn. I've created an event on a presentation. I have hours and hours of footage explaining it to people. So people can come to our website. They can sign up, portal2ascension.org. You get a username and password emailed to you immediately. You log into our backend of our website. It's just like Netflix for conscious awareness. You type by browser, speaker, category, topic. You can reorganize it. You can add things to your watch list. You can watch all this information. So we are now become that platform for people. So I really recommend that they go check that out.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil. Is there anything else that you want to get us across?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
So the main, actually, one of the main reasons I'm on here, we didn't even get to speak about, which is our conference. You know, like that's what always happens. I just go freaking on a tangent with all this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, wait a second. So our conference, which is our second annual Portal to Ascension Conference. We've done conferences in the past, 2012 and 2013. Plus, we've done over 1,000 event productions. But our conference, Portal to Ascension Conference, is on October 4th, 5th, and 6th in Irvine, California. 3 days, 20 presenters, 5 sound healers, 3 musicians, an amazing event that is a full circle. All the stuff that we talked about now, we have people representing those topics coming to speak about it. And then we also, it's just really an experience. You go in there, the vibration from the beginning to the end is really fulfilling and empowering to the individual. Plus, you're getting all these downloads of this information that is really going to be key and relevant in the years to come. So that's Portal to Ascension Conference, and our website for that is ascensionconference.com.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. That's wonderful. And still available online for those that are not geographically.
Yes. So we are live streaming the entire event. The price to attend the event for 3 days is $222 for all 3 days. It's $99 for 1 day, and it's also $99 for the live stream. So you get like 20 plus hour. No, you get more than that. You get like 30, 40 hours of presentations, and you get unlimited replay access where you can view them back anytime you want. And that's the live stream. And then there's also there's around 2 speakers that we're live streaming separately if you want to just check them out. One is Whitley Strieber, who is really known in the UFO disclosure community, one of the pioneers and an experienced extraterrestrial contactee. And then JJ Hertek, Desiree Hertek, husband and wife. We can also stream them separately. So if you're anywhere around the world, if you're in Australia, you can tune in live. And if you can't tune in live because of hour difference or you're working that time, you can always watch it back later.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I'll share the links as well from your website and all that information in Healing Networks for those that come across this that are definitely interested in either attending face-to-face or registering for the live feed.
Yep. And you're supposed to be in California at that time, so you should be there, right?
Yes, I'll be there face-to-face. So I'll be attending the event. So if there's any Aussies that would like to come along, or any American friends that I have there that would like to buddy up with me, absolutely. So I'll be at Portal to Ascension there supporting Neil and this beautiful movement of his, and obviously there for all the wonderful content and information that's going to be shared for 3 days. So I'll be there. Yeah,
and maybe in the future, like a party bus, we'll get like a party plane from Australia with like shots of kombucha. You can come out in the party plane. Give me 10 years.
Sounds good. Awesome, Neil. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
We'll see you again on Healing Networks. I'm sure we'll continue this journey of you sharing the information and the journey and all the speakers and wonderful stuff that you're doing there with Portal to Ascension. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Anytime I ask, and really supporting our work. Like, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, all good. Not a problem. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, take care. Bye.